All right, if everyone would find a seat, please. Chiefs, anybody out in the hall? Good evening, and I will call the regular meeting of the Oak Ridge City Council to order, our first meeting of 2025. We appreciate everyone's attendance and interest. As we start tonight, before I call up Reverend Bailey Norman, pastor of St. Stephen's Episcopal Church, and Odelia Kenizer, who's going to lead us in a pledge of allegiance, I'd like for everybody to stand, and we're going to have a moment of silence for Oak Ridge Police Department Sergeant Barry Bunch, who was a 30-year member of our force and who passed away in December. Thank you. Reverend Norman, thank you for being with us tonight.
Let us pray. Almighty God, look upon this council, all those who hold authority in this city and all the people of this city, that we may be guided by the spirit of your wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose we all may faithfully serve in our vocations to promote the well-being of all the people of this community. In your most holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Odelia? And before she starts, let me just tell you just a little bit about her. Odelia is a high school senior at Oak Ridge. Obviously, she participated in the RAMSAT project in collaboration with NASA. She's co-captain of the Oak Ridge High School cross-country and track teams. She will be attending Stanford University to double major in Earth and Atmospheric Science and Data Science, which means she's probably about the smartest person in this room. So we're glad to have you with us, and we're very proud of you.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Dotson.
Here.
Councilmember Gleason.
Here.
Mayor Gooch.
Here.
Councilmember Hammond. Here. Councilmember Hensley.
Here.
Councilmember Hope.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
All right, our first item of business, I don't believe we have any proclamations or public
No, sir.
recognitions.
No, sir.
So, Madam Clerk, if you'll tell us what our procedure is going to be here as we do elections and appointments.
Okay, so we have 119 applicants for 54 vacancies, so it's going to take us a minute, so I'll look for, hope you all will indulge us. What we're going to try to do first is the boards that, where we had the same number of applicants that we had vacancies to fill, and those can go if it's the will of council by acclamation. So we're going to start with the hotel representatives for the Convention and Visitors Bureau, Explore Oak Ridge Board. And those applicants were Heather Brown.
If the applicants are here, if you please stand. Okay.
Heather Brown, Sonia Roy, and Jane Stabler.
Move to elect by acclamation.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. And they are elected.
Okay.
Next, Madam Clerk.
The next one we're going to do is the Health and Educational Facilities Board. And we had 3 applicants for 3 vacancies. We had Dr. Faye Martin, Deanna Okert, and Sean Taylor.
Move that all three be elected by acclamation.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. And they are elected. Next, Madam Clerk.
Okay, we're going to do the Trade Licensing Board. We had 2 applicants for 2 vacancies. Those are Jarrell Cook and Jeff Lewis.
Move to elect by acclamation.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. And they are elected.
Now, for the Disability Advisory Board, we had 5 applicants for 5 vacancies, but we do have 3 3-year terms and a couple of balance of unexpired terms that we need to fill. So what we'll do is we'll do the election by acclamation, and then I have the ballots with the names for you all to vote on who you would like to have the 3-year terms, and then the balance of the unexpired term ending in 2026, and then whoever's left over would take the 2025 term. So our applicants are Macy Barber, Sarah Davidson, Monica Johnson, Hannah Tippett, and Stephen Varon.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Okay, and then Val's going to hand out the ballot, and the first one is the 3-year terms. So you're going to vote for 2, because we have 2 3-year terms. So you're going to just make a check by the people that you want to fill those 3-year terms, and make sure you sign your ballot. And Val will pick up your ballot. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, 3 3-year terms, sorry, yes, I'm sorry, I didn't write that correctly on the ballot. I said vote for 2, but it's actually vote for 3. So, yeah, sorry about that, thank you. Everything started running together after a while. So you're gonna vote for 3, for the 3 3-year terms. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Val.
Thanks, Val.
Hammond Lord, sorry, that was loud. Hammond votes for Barbour, Davidson, and Tippett. Smith votes for Barbour, Davidson, and Tippett.
Okay, hold on one sec.
You're going to have to speak up.
Yeah, and I got it, it's going too fast.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, start over again if you don't
Sure.
care.
Hammond votes for Barbour, Davidson, and Tippett.
Okay,
Smith votes for Barbour, Davidson, and Tippett.
okay,
Hope votes for Barbour, Davidson, and Tippett.
okay,
Mayor Gooch votes for Davidson, Tippett, and Viren.
okay,
Pro Tem Dodson votes for Davidson, Tippett, and Viren. Hensley votes for Barbour, Davidson, and Tippett. And Gleason votes for Barbour, Davidson, and Tippett.
okay. Give me just a sec.
That's, I voted for the first 3 in my list, and I don't think you read those 3. Oh, Davidson, okay, I got you. You're correct, yeah, thank you.
1, 2,
I was looking at first names.
4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Tippett received 7 votes, Davidson received 7, and Barber received 5. Is that what you got? So those three are elected to the three-year term. So that means you've got Johnson and Varon left over. So the next ballot is for the the 1 year term ending the term ending December 31st, 2026. And you'll vote for one. You'll either vote for Monica Johnson or Stephen Varon
For what?
for the unexpired term ending December 31st, 2026.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yes. Yes, and then whoever's left over will get the 2025 term. They won't all be this difficult, I promise. Promise.
Thank you.
The terms are the most confusing.
It's unanimous, Varon.
Okay, so Stephen Varon is elected to the balance of the unexpired term ending December 31st, 2026, which means that Monica Johnson is elected to the balance of the unexpired term ending December 31st, 2025. Okay, and we're done with that. Okay, so that is all of the ones that were by acclamation. So the next one we're going to do is the Anderson County Community Action Commission. And you're going to vote for one. We have 3 applicants for 1 vacancy. Jane Stabler, Rick Wallace, and Glenda Whitfield. And you're going to vote for 1. It's the Oak Ridge representative on the Anderson County Community Action Commission.
Hammond votes for Wallace. Smith votes for Whitfield. Hope votes for Wallace. Mayor Gooch votes for Wallace. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson votes for Stabler. Hensley votes for Wallace. Gleason votes for Wallace.
Rick Wallace is elected. That one's empty. Okay. All right, the next one is going to be a fun one. It's going to be the Art, Culture, and History Alliance Advisory Board. Hold on one second. They're all starting to stick together. There we go. Okay. Not those. Just these, yeah. No, those. Yep. Okay. So we've got 14 applicants for 5 vacancies. And then you will have 3 different sets of terms that we'll have to deal with after we elect. Naomi Asher, Wendy Oren, Tristy Berryhill, Joy Bonamart, Hope Cook, Kaylee DeMore, Sylvia Milanes, Greta Owenby, Headley Grant Pelletier, Beth Shea, Jane Stabler, Lawrence Vance, Jenna Watson, and Charlene Webster. Stand up if
Yeah,
you're here.
Get your names?
Yep.
Yes.
And you're going to vote for 5. I'm ready.
Hammond votes for Asher, DeMore, Owenby, Shea, and Watson. Smith votes for Arin, Berryhill, Bonamart, Shea, and Watson. Hope votes for Arin, Berryhill, Bonamart, DeMore, and Watson. Mayor Gooch votes for Arin, Berryhill, Bonamart, Shea, and Watson. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson votes for Arin, Berryhill, Bonamart, Shea, and Vance. Hensley votes for Arin, Berryhill, Shea, Vance, and Watson. And Gleason votes for Arin, Berryhill, Bonamart, Pelletier, and Shea.
Give me just a second. Okay. Looks like our 5 are Wendy Arin, Tristy Berryhill, Joy Bonamart, Beth Shea, and Jenna Watson. So then now, the way we set the resolution up when we created the board, you'll have 2 3-year terms, 2 2-year terms, and then 1 1-year term. So for the 3-year term, this is the first vote. You'll vote for 2. I'm trying to get those confused. You'll vote for 2 people for the 3-year term. So I did get this one right on your ballot. So your choices are, I'll read them again. Wendy Arin, and you can just make a check by the names. Tristy Berryhill, Joy Bonamart, Beth Shea, and Jenna Watson. Yeah, that helps for you to hand those.
2,
2.
the first
yes.
time around.
2, yes, 2.
Hammond votes for Shea and Watson. Smith votes for Berry Hill and Shea. Hope votes for Orrin and Shea. Mayor Gooch votes for Orrin and Berry Hill. Mayor Pro Tem Dodson votes for Shea and Watson. Hensley votes for Orrin and Berry Hill. And Gleason votes for Orrin and Berry Hill.
So it looks like, now how did that, it looks like 3 have 4 votes. Is that what you have?
Orrin, Berry Hill, and Shea? Is that what you have?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so that means what we'll do is we'll take this to a round 2, because because nobody got, or we had more people that got the same number of votes than we have the slots. So unless somebody wants to make a motion, if not, we'll go to round 2.
Yeah, we're just doing 3 of these, right?
We're doing 2.
Of the 3 or of the 5?
So you would vote for 2 of these,
3.
of the 3.
That's why.
Yes. So here's round 2. It is. Once we get past this one, it's gravy. Yep. This is the hardest one.
Can you tell them the names of the
Yeah.
that they're voting for?
Wendy Orrin, Tristy Berryhill, or Beth Shea.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm ready when you're, oh.
They keep us straight. He's gonna be 80.
Hammond votes for Orrin and Shea. Smith votes for Berry Hill and Shea. Hope votes for Orrin and Shea. Mayor Gooch votes for Orrin and Berry Hill. Mayor Pro Tem Dodson votes for Berry Hill and Shea. Hensley votes for Orrin and Shea. And Gleason votes for Orrin and Berry Hill.
So Wendy Orrin has 5, so she is elected, she's gotten one of the 3-year terms, and Beth Shea has 5, so she got one of the 3-year terms. So Wendy Orrin and Beth Shea are elected to the 3-year terms. So the next set is, you're gonna vote for 2 2-year terms.
2 for 2.
So you're gonna remove, obviously Wendy Orrin and Beth Shea. And so your choices left would be Berry Hill, Bonamart, and Watson. 2. Joy Bonamart, Tristy Berryhill, and Jenna Watson. And then whoever doesn't get the number on this one will get the 1-year term.
Hammond votes for Berry Hill and Watson. Smith votes for Berry Hill and Bonamart. Hope votes for Berry Hill and Watson. Mayor Gooch votes for Berry Hill and Watson. Mayor Pro Tem Dodson votes for Berry Hill and Watson. Hensley votes for Berry Hill and Watson. And Gleason votes for Berryhill and Watson.
Okay, so Tristy Berryhill and Jenna Watson will get the 2-year terms, and Joy Bonamart will get the 1-year term. So that's your new Art, Culture, and History Alliance Advisory Board. So, all right, let me get rid of all of these. Those somewhere else. Okay, so our next one is going to be the Beer Permit Board. We have 3 vacancies. And we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 non-applicants. And these are 3-year terms, so you don't have to worry about different terms. We have Richard Bell, who's here, I believe. Hope Cook, who's here. Sam Crawford. Julie Culver. Kirk Gertner. Jeff Gebhardt. Trevor Hutchins, and Robert Chris Jones, and Pamela Lane. And you're going to vote for 3. Oh.
Hammond votes for Bell, Culver, and Lane. Smith votes for Bell, Culver, and Lane. Hope votes for Bell, Culver, and Lane. Mayor Gooch votes for Bell, Culver, and Lane. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson votes for Bell, Culver, and Lane. Hensley votes for Bell, Culver, and Lane. And Gleason votes for Bell, Gartner, and Lane.
Richard Bell, Julie Culver, and Pamela Lane are elected. The next one is for the Board of Zoning Appeals. And there are 2 vacancies and 6 applicants for 2 vacancies. Richard Bell, Keith Kraft, Adam Fiskor, Jeff Gebhardt, Roger Petrie, and Sean Taylor.
The vote's unanimous. Your incumbents are re-elected, Keith Kraft and Roger Petrie.
All right.
Okay, your next one is the Convention and Visitors Bureau at-large representatives. And you've got 11 applicants for 4 vacancies. Naomi Asher, Joy Bonamart, Sam Crawford, Kaylee DeMore, Barbara Farrell, Zane Hagee, Theodore Eric Oles, Amy Poteet, Anika Rogers, Carol Smallridge, and Glenda Whitfield, and you're gonna vote for 4.
It's white. It's white, it's not colored. It should be. It's after the 3.
It's after EQUAB, it got turned around in the packet, so, yeah.
They're trying to find it because instead of yellow, it's white. Okay.
Well, I gave her the page numbers to put in color, so I may have given her the wrong page number. It was almost a 500-page packet, so.
Sean, you want to see it? Okay.
Did we do the Disability Advisory Board?
5. We did
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah, we just did it on the terms, yeah, okay.
Hammond votes for Asher, Farrell, Olds, and Smallridge. Smith votes for Farrell, Olds, Poteet, and Smallridge. Hope votes for Asher, Farrell, Smallridge, and Whitfield. Mayor Gooch votes for Asher, Farrell, Olds, and Smallridge. Mayor Pro Tem Dodson votes for Asher, Bonamart, Farrell, and Smallridge. Hensley votes for Farrell, Hagee, Smallridge, and Whitfield. Gleason votes for Asher, Farrell, Smallridge, and Whitfield.
Okay, so Carol Smallridge, Barbara Farrell, and Naomi Asher all got 4 or more or more than 4 votes. So that's 3 of the 4. So then we have left, so no one else got 4 votes. So we would need to re-vote for the 4th slot, right, Tammy? Because I've got 2 with 3 votes and 3 with 1 vote. So I have to get at least 4. Okay, so you've elected Naomi Asher, Barbara Farrell, and Carol Smallridge. So we'll go to a round 2 ballot.
Ms. Hickman, may I ask?
Yeah.
What are the two that have 3 votes, please?
That is Theodore Eric Oles and Glenda Whitfield.
Thank you.
But we don't take anybody off.
Understand.
In case you can't reach, and that way you've got another person who. I'll just go ahead and keep mine. Thank you. Okay. And this is round 2. So your choices are, which everybody's a choice except Naomi Asher, Barbara Farrell, and Carol Smallridge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then your 3 votes were Theodore Eric Oles and Glenda Whitfield. And your 1 votes were Bonamart, Hagee, and Potee. So you're going to vote for 1 this time.
Hammond votes for Olds. Smith votes for Olds. Hope votes for Whitfield. Mayor Gooch votes for Olds. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson votes for Olds. Hensley votes for Whitfield, and Gleason votes for Whitfield.
Theodore Eric Oles has 4 votes, so he is elected. Your next one's going to be the Environmental Quality Advisory Board. You have 6 vacancies and 7 applicants, so you're going to vote for 6.
All for 3-year terms.
Yes. Your applicants are Scott Black, Kirk Gertner, Susan Hamilton, Les Hook, Robert Chris Jones, Robert Kennedy,
Thank you.
and Anne Marie Mulvihill. And you're going to vote for 6.
It should be a yellow page.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Environmental Quality Advisory Board. Six out of 7.
Just want to make sure. Yes. Yes.
Hammond votes for Black, Gartner, Hamilton, Hook, Kennedy, and Mulvihill. Smith votes for Black, Gartner, Hamilton, Hook, Kennedy, and Mulvihill. Hope votes for Black, Gartner, Hamilton, Hook, Kennedy, and Mulvihill. Mayor Gooch votes for Black, Gartner, Hamilton, Hook, Kennedy, and Mulvihill. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson votes for Black, Gartner, Hamilton, Hook, Kennedy, and Mulvihill. Hensley votes for Black, Hamilton, Hook, Jones, Kennedy, and Mulvihill. And Gleason votes for Black, Gartner, Hamilton, Hook, Kennedy, and Mulvihill.
So those elected are Scott Black, Kirk Gertner, Susan Hamilton, Les Hook, Robert Kennedy, and Anne Marie Mulvihill. Okay, so next we're going to do the Industrial Development Board. And we've got 3 applicants for 1 vacancy. And it's only the balance of an unexpired term, ending 12/31 of '25, because we had a resignation. So our applicants are Steve Baguli, Gary Love, and Michael Russell. And again, you're voting for 1.
Thank you.
Hammond votes for Russell. Smith votes for Russell. Hope votes for Baguli. Mayor Gooch votes for Russell. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson votes for Russell. Where's Charlie's? Charlie?
You're going to stand in the corner, Charlie. Now, come on.
Hensley votes for Love. Gleason votes for Russell.
Michael Russell is elected.
Okay. Moving on.
Moving on. Your next one will be Oak Ridge Housing Authority.
Oh, wait a minute. Land Bank.
Oh, we can do Land Bank next.
Well, that's what's next in the.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
fine.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah,
It's a big packet to search through.
yeah, it is. I mean, we're going to lose our spots here.
Okay. So for land, well, now I have to switch my page. So for Land Bank, we have 6 applicants for 3 vacancies. And then one of these vacancies will do there's a unexpired term ending December 31st, 2025. So after we do the vote, then we'll do the term. So we have 6 applicants. Keys Philauer,
If you're here, please stand up
yep.
or wave your hand.
Tamara Gunner, Pam Moody, Anne Marie Mulvihill, Adam Norton, and Matt Widener. And you're voting for 3.
Hammond votes for Philauer, Gunter, and Widener. Smith votes for Gunter, Moody, and Widener. Hope votes for Philauer, Gunter, and Norton. Mayor Gooch votes for Philauer, Gunter, and Widener. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson votes for Philauer, Gunter, and Moody. Hensley votes for Philauer, Gunter, and Moody. And Gleason votes for Philauer, Gunter, and Moody.
Okay, so Keys Philauer and Tamara Gunter are elected on the first ballot, and then Pam Moody received 4 votes. So I guess that means that would be the next one. That would be the third one. Keys Philauer, Tamara Gunter, and Pam Moody. Moody received 4 votes, Norton 1 vote, and Wadner 3 votes. So Philauer, Gunter, and Moody are elected. And now you have to decide which one of those you would like to see in the balance of the unexpired term. And I didn't do a ballot for that one because it was just one term. So if someone wants to make a motion,
I would make a motion that Keith Philauer and Tamara Gunter serve the longer terms.
2 3-year
the
terms.
3-year terms.
3-year terms,
Okay.
and Pam Moody, the unexpired term.
Okay,
Second.
okay. All right. So you just.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Okay. So Pam Moody is elected to the unexpired term ending December 31st, 2025. And Keith Philauer and Tamara Gunter are elected to the 2 3-year terms.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Now, which one do you all want to show next? Housing Authority? Okay. So for Oak Ridge Housing Authority, we have 4 applicants for 1 vacancy. The applicants are Sharon Crane, Kirk Gertner, Adam Norton, and Anika Rogers. And you'll vote for 1.
Hammond votes for Crane. Smith votes for Crane. Hope votes for Norton. Mayor Gooch votes for Crane. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson votes for Crane. Hensley votes for Crane. And Gleason votes for Crane.
Sharon Crane is elected. The next one will be Planning Commission.
Pardon me? Okay.
Well, I have Oak Ridge Municipal Planning Commission. It doesn't matter. We can, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just do we'll do Personnel Advisory Board next. Okay, we have 4 applicants for 2 vacancies. So your applicants are Adam Fiskor, Mary Jinks, Justin Lawson, and Anika Rogers. And you're going to vote for 2.
Yes.
Hammond votes for Jinks and Lawson. Smith votes for Jinks and Lawson. Hope votes for Jinks and Lawson. Mayor Gooch votes for Lawson and Rogers. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson votes for Lawson and Rogers. Hensley votes for Jinks and Rogers. And Gleason votes for Lawson and Rogers.
Okay, so Justin Lawson received 6 votes. Mary Jinks and Anika Rogers each received 4. So Justin Lawson is elected, so we'll have to vote again for the second vacancy. I'll keep mine. So your options are Adam Fiskor, Mary Jinks, Anika Rogers.
Okay.
Hammond votes for Rogers. Smith votes for Jinks. Hope votes for Jinks. Mayor Gooch votes for Jinks. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson votes for Rogers. Hensley votes for Rogers. And Gleason votes for Rogers.
Anika Rogers is elected to the second slot. Okay, we've got 4 left. Planning Commission is the next one.
Got more than 4. No, we don't. No, we don't.
So you have 10 applicants for 2 vacancies. Your applicants are Steve Baguli, Richard Bell, Jeff Gebhardt, Gary Love, Pam Moody, Greta Owenby, Jane Shelton, Sean Taylor, Rick Wallace, and Glenda Whitfield. And you're going to vote for 2.
The vote's unanimous. Your incumbents are reelected, Owenby and Shelton.
That was easy. Okay. All right, Recreation and Parks Advisory Board. We have, again, 10 applicants for 3 vacancies this time. We have Scott Black, Kaylee DeMore, Zane Hagee, Trevor Hutchins, Dr. Faye Martin, Dan Miller, Pam Moody, Amy Poteet, Ruth Rizzi, and Rick Wallace. So you'll vote for 3, and there are no incumbents.
Hammond votes for Demore, Martin, and Poteet. Smith votes for Demore, Hagee, and Hutchins. Hope votes for Hagee, Hutchins, and Rizzi. Mayor Gooch votes for Demore, Hagee, and Hutchins. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson votes for Demore, Hagee, and Martin. Hensley votes for Black, Hagee, and Rizzi. And Gleason votes for Hagee, Hutchins, and Rizzi.
Okay, so Zaid Hagee received 6 votes, so he is elected. Then we have, let's see, well, that would make sense. Two people have 4 votes, Kaylee Demore and Trevor Hutchins. So those are the 3, Zane Hagee, Kaylee Demore, and Trevor Hutchins. It's easier than I thought. Okay, Senior Advisory Board, we're almost there. We have 8 applicants for 5 vacancies. We have Susan Barna, Gregory Hamilton, Mindy McNabb, Mayor Martell, Sylvia Milanes, Rebecca Rushton, Amy Poteet, and Jill Waters, and you're going to vote for 5. There's 5 vacancies. There's 8 applicants. Your vote for 5. And they're all 3-year terms.
Hammond votes for Hamilton, McNabb, Martell, Milanes, and Waters. Smith votes for Hamilton, McNabb, Martell, Milanes, and Waters. Hope votes for Hamilton, McNabb, Martell, Rushton, and Poteet. Mayor Gooch votes for Hamilton, Milanes, Rushton, Poteet, and Waters. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson votes for Hamilton, McNabb, Martell, Rushton, and Waters. Hensley votes for Hamilton, Martell, Milanes, Rushton, and Waters. And Gleason votes for Hamilton, McNabb, Milanes, Rushton, and Waters.
Okay, give me one moment. So Gregory Hamilton received 7 votes. Jill Waters received 6. So those 2 elected, keep that in mind. Then we have McNabb, Martell, Milanes, and Rushton all receiving 5 votes. So the Hamilton and Waters are elected, so we have 3 more slots, so we would have to revote for, let's see, 3, 4, yeah. Because we had 1, 2, 3, 4 people with 5 votes, so, and we only need 3. So we'd have to revote, we'll have to vote again for the last 3 positions.
Who do we cross off?
We cross off Gregory Hamilton, who was elected, and Jill Waters, who was elected.
So we now vote for 3.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I'll read them again. Susan Barna, Mindy McNabb, Mayor Martell, Sylvia Milanes, Rebecca Rushton, and Amy Poteet. So you're going to vote for 3. Yes.
Hammond votes for McNabb, Milanes, and Rushton. Smith votes for McNabb, Martell, and Milanes. Hope votes for McNabb, Milanes, and Rushton. Mayor Gooch votes for Milanes, Rushton, and Poteet. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson votes for McNabb, Martell, and Milanes. Hensley votes for Martell, Milanes, and Rushton. And Gleason votes for McNabb, Milanes, and Rushton.
Mindy McNabb, Sylvia Milanes, and Rebecca Rushton are elected. And we're down to the last one, last but certainly not least, the Traffic Safety Advisory Board. We have 5 applicants for 2 vacancies. Sam Crawford, Adam Fiskor, Jack Jinks, Robert Chris Jones, and Dan Miller, and you'll vote for 2.
Sorry. Thank you.
Hammond votes for Jones and Miller. Smith votes for Jinks and Jones. Hope votes for Jones and Miller. Mayor Gooch votes for Jones and Miller. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson votes for Jones and Miller. Hensley votes for Jones and Miller. And Gleason votes for Jones and Miller.
Robert Chris Jones and Dan Miller are elected. And that concludes our elections. Thank you all for your patience. And we do recycle, so we'll recycle those. So our next item is the appointment of council representatives. And we have a council representative currently on the Planning Commission, which is Mayor Pro Tem Dotson, a council representative on the Land Bank, which is Mayor Gooch, And then the new art board gets a council representative. So, do you all want to take these one at a time? Do you want to take planning commission first? Okay, so the first one then would be the appointment of the council representative to the planning commission.
I move we appoint Charlie Hensley by acclamation.
That's the mayor appointee.
He's my appointee.
He's currently the mayor's appointee, yes.
I will make that motion.
So you want to go ahead?
Give her a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second your motion.
All right, so
Well, right now we're doing the council reps, not the mayor appointee. It's next. So this is the one that Mayor Pro Tem Dotson currently holds.
I'll nominate Mayor Pro Tem Dotson.
Second that.
Okay. All right, so the mayor has nominated Mayor Pro Tem Dotson, and Mr. Hensley seconded.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Dotson is reelected.
Thank you.
The next one is the council representative on the land bank, which currently Mayor Gooch serves in that position.
I nominate Mayor Gooch.
Second.
Okay,
All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
okay. Mayor Gooch, you're reelected. And now we have the art board, the council representative to the art board, and that is a new one, so we don't have an incumbent in that position.
I'll nominate Mayor Pro Tem Jim Dawson.
Second.
Okay,
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are none opposed?
okay. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson is elected. The next item is the confirmation of the mayor's appointment to the planning commission, which is currently Councilmember Hensley.
Move to approve.
Okay,
All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
okay. Councilmember Hensley is reappointed as the mayor's appointee. So the next and final item under elections and appointments is the appointment of the city attorney evaluation committee. And according to the rotation that you all have done over the years, the staff recommends the appointment of Councilmember Hensley, Gleason, and Dotson.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? There are none. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to shut up for a little bit. Thank you all for your patience. The next item is the consent agenda.
Moved and seconded. And we'll be on the board.
Ready? Everybody ready? There it goes. Is Mike's on?
Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Okay, we don't have any first reading of ordinances. We do have some final adoption of ordinances, and all three require public hearings. So the first one is an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2, titled The Zoning Ordinance of the City of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, by amending section 6.01, titled O1 Office Districts, and section 7.02, titled B1 Neighborhood Business Districts, for the purpose of adding mixed-use development as a permitted principal use in both districts, provided certain conditions are met, and by amending section 6.02, titled O2 Office Districts, section 7.03, titled B2 General Business Districts, and Section 7.04 titled UB2, Unified General Business Districts, to replace the word similar with the word compatible in their respective subparts pertaining to mixed-use development for consistency in language, and a public hearing is required.
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded. I'd like a motion to open the public hearing. Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address council during this public hearing? To my left, look to my right, seeing none. I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we are back on the motion to approve. Mr. Heeman, Mr. Blasius, who's,
Apologize, Mayor and Council. That was very quick. The first item is second reading on a zoning text amendment, the mixed-use amendment. In the past, we added mixed use to several of the commercial zones. This item is the addition of the O1 and the B1 districts as mixed use. It allows a combination of residential and commercial development together with approval of site plan by the Planning Commission. Happy to ask or answer further questions.
are there any questions for Mr. Blasius? Seeing none, the motion is to approve. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? There are none. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend ordinance number 2 titled the zoning ordinance of the city of Oak Ridge, Tennessee by amending the zoning map which is made a part of the ordinance by changing the zoning district of parcels 033.00 and 034.00, Anderson County Tax Map 105D Group A, containing approximately 2.65 acres from RG1 Residential Open Space and Reserve District to B2 General Business District, said parcels being located at 11 and 13 Wilberforce Avenue, and a public hearing is required.
Moved and seconded. Take a motion to open. Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. So the public hearing is open. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address council on this particular item? Seeing none, a motion to close.
So moved.
So moved, seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. We're back on the motion. Mr. Blasius.
Thank you. This is second and final reading on a rezoning request of two parcels just off of Tuskegee from RG1 to B2. This is in compliance with the comprehensive plan and was approved unanimously by the Planning Commission.
Any questions for Mr. Blasius? Seeing none, the motion is to approve. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? There are none. And it is approved on second reading. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend the Centennial Bluff Planned Unit Development Master Plan to remove 24 single-family lots and add 2 multifamily buildings. Said property located on Centennial Bluff Boulevard and bordered by Melton Lake Drive and Edgemore Road with no change to the zoning district, which remains R3 PUD, medium-density residential with a planned unit development overlay, and a public hearing is required on this one.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. A motion to open the public hearing. Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. The public hearing is open. Is there any member of the audience wishing to address council during the public hearing? Seeing none, motion to close. Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Mr. Blasius, we're back on the motion to approve on
Thank
final
you.
reading.
Thank you, Mayor. Final reading on an amendment to an existing PUD and the property as well described in the title. This has 2 minor changes, fairly minor changes, I should, one minor, one moderate. There is a small duplex section within the master plan, and the number of units is not changing. However, some of the parcel boundaries are changing. They're slightly rearranged. No substantive change there. The other change is that there was an area of 24 single-family homes in the previous master plan that was adopted in 2010. That is being replaced with 2 condominium buildings, which are similar to the rest of the condominiums in that development.
Questions for Mr. Blasius? Ms. Smith?
Yeah, there have been some
Sorry, Charlie.
twittering of complaints, Twitter's not the right word, in social media about traffic. And I know there's a call for a traffic study. How does that align with the rezoning process?
Yes, good question, ma'am. The Planning Commission also recommended that council consider a traffic study. The city engineer and the planning staff have recommended that that be done at the site plan level, which is the appropriate and normal time for that. So it would include a traffic study at that point, not necessary for the decision on the amendment to the PUD.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Gleason? Okay. Mr. Gleason, you have?
Yeah, just to tie in with that, Wayne, I'm sure that would take into account the Edgemore Road widening that's already planned with our,
Yes,
Of the
that would need to be contemplated in the traffic analysis, although we don't know exactly the timing on that, unfortunately. It's not exactly around the corner.
got it, thank you.
No pun intended.
We're going to do what we can to get it moved up. Any other questions for Mr. Blasius? Seeing none, the motion is to approve. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? There are none, and it is approved. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Under
Thank you, Mr. Blasius.
Under resolutions, you have a resolution supporting the American Museum of Science and Energy Foundation's request to the United States Navy for placement of a decommissioned nuclear submarine sail in Oak Ridge and designating the placement of this sail at A.K. Bissell Park.
Move for approval.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Heeman.
Yes, Mayor. As the birthplace of the nuclear Navy, this is a very appropriate ask. I feel like it is a request from AMSI. They're working with a number of volunteers from Y12, some of our history advocates and others to get this conning tower placed in Bissell Park. We're talking about the area of Bissell Park right at the entrance to City Hall. It is close to the commemorative walk in between the creek and the parking lot there. So staff would recommend approval of this resolution.
Mr. Hensley.
Yeah, just an interesting comment that if we get to Houston, that's the same one that was used in the movie Hunt for Red October.
Any other comments or questions? Mr. Hope.
So, Randy, is that where the placement right now look like? I know it was a rough map that was in our agenda package,
Correct.
but is that basically closer to City Hall's entrance, the main road off
Yes, yes.
there? So the creek would be on the other side of it, and then the commemorative walk, the Rotarian walk?
Correct.
Okay. And so that's a fairly,
It's a steep,
yeah, it's a steep
Site.
terrain there. Site, does that mean that we're gonna have to do some work there?
it would require, yes, these are so heavy, they require a lot of foundation work anyway.
Okay.
So yes, it would require some, likely some decking around it and some heavy foundation work.
And it doesn't impede into our, area for that creek?
No, it would not.
We're not having to do anything with the creek stays the
No,
same?
we would not.
Okay.
And it would also fit with the trail that we have planned to run the whole length of the creek.
I know we
Just-
talked about at one point having the trail come onto the other side of the creek and run back down towards the amphitheater.
Yes,
Okay. And none of that
It would
impedes
not
on each other
impede
or
any of
changes
that. Correct.
Dynamics. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Smith.
Yeah, and just to understand what this is, it's referred to as a flag, But as I understand it, it's the part of the submarine that sticks up when it's rising. It's the
Correct.
elevated portion where, so
Correct.
that's, just so people have some sense of what it is we're talking about.
Thank you. That is correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Dodson?
Yeah, just a couple of questions and requests. One of which would be if we could have an artist rendering of what this will look like. I think that would help a lot with people who would like to know what it is.
Sure.
And then second, I'm assuming that the American Museum of Science and Energy's Foundation is footing the bill for this, correct?
Correct.
Transportation as well as purchase.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, one thing is the thing weighs 120,000 pounds. It's 30 feet long, and it's got a couple of what they call, I think it's called surface planes that stick out. And so the whole site location right now is I would call tentative, because we got other things going on in Bissell Park, but I think this is a great addition to Bissell Park somewhere. But because it's where, like they say, the home of the nuclear navy, and Admiral Rickover came here and worked with Alton Weinberg to come up with the designs of the first nuclear reactors for naval vessels. So we're very much a part of that history.
Mr. Hope?
Yeah, we got to keep in mind that AK Bissell Park is only so big, guys. We are stuffing it full. I mean, there's a lot of good, worthy causes, and I'm not against this at all, but, you know, you only have so much space, and the significance of the other things that we do there need to be kept of the utmost importance. And so, we just got to be cautious about what we're going to put into AK Bissell Park. And we're not fitting the foundation bill. I mean, if this
No.
goes forward, this would be something the AMSI Foundation would go together
Correct.
and do their own fundraising for to receive funds for that, be approved by us as far as the foundation drawings and all that.
Correct.
Okay.
And I would like to echo, that's a great point. There have actually been a number of locations looked at, but there are areas of that park that are used heavily for larger events that those areas needed to stay open. And then there's also, quite frankly, the sensitivity of where this goes in relation to other things that are in the park. And we felt like this was an appropriate location. Now, it is a tight site there, and we're going to have to do some study and some work on it to make sure that it's a good fit in that area.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Dodson?
Yeah, a good point to make too is we just created and appointed some people to be on the Arts, Culture, and History Alliance Advisory Board. Hopefully we'll work hand in hand with the city of Oak Ridge with regards to placement, because again, I echo what Councilman Hope said. It's a finite amount of space and we don't want to overcrowd it. So, thank you.
All right, are there any other questions or comments? Anyone in the audience wishing to address council? Seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board. Ayes 7, no nays, and the resolution is approved. Next resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing the transfer of city-owned real property located at 1790 Oak Ridge Turnpike, Anderson County Tax Map 0990, Group A, Parcel 013.00, to the Free Medical Clinic of Oak Ridge Incorporated at no cost for the establishment of a care center.
Moved to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Heeman?
Yes, Mayor, the city has looked at potential uses for this property over a number of years. Everything from, animal shelter to other things. None of those have ever seemed appropriate. And when we were approached by the Free Medical Clinic about this site, we thought it was a very appropriate use to save the existing building and add a much-needed service to the community. They're out of space in the location they're in. So staff would like to recommend that this building be donated to the Free Medical Clinic. And I'll add, if you look through your pack, you'll see that they've been awarded a $500,000 from the LDS Foundation. They've got a number of other grants and funding sources lined up, so we feel very comfortable, but that they'll move forward quickly with renovation of the building.
All right, any questions for Mr. Heeman? Seeing none, the, Mr. Dodson.
Yeah, just a real quick comment. Great use for this space. I know we've had some reasons to doubt it's functional, but I think the free medical clinic will go in there. It's a much needed, larger space for them and the populations they serve in our community. This is going to be a great option for them.
I guess I will toss out a second comment.
Mr. Hammond.
Just on top of that, I've worked with them in the community, a number of different things, and I just want to note that on top of this, this is in addition to a lot of work that the Free Medical Clinic is doing, and an absolute asset. They've got a mobile unit that they actually, where they meet people and serve where they are. So I consider it a privilege and a pleasure to be a part of this, and I'm grateful that we are in a city, are in a position to do this, and are so willing to do this to support the nonprofits that are here in the area. So thank you, and thank you.
Ms. Smith.
Just a comment, I hope the building is truly in good enough shape to be useful for the purposes, because it is an old building, and that's something, a little risk that the FMC is taking on, but I hope it works out.
Any other comments? Seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board. Ayes 7, no nays, and the resolution is approved. You're welcome. Thank you, and all the members of the Free Medical Clinic and staff for what you're doing. Next resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution outlining next steps for the Oak Ridge General Aviation Airport, specifically to authorize exploration of alternate sites and disposition of acquired properties at East Tennessee Technology Park.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Heeman?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, after the Arano announcement, we became aware of the issue related to the airport and location to that potential project. We went through a very deliberate study with Arano. They requested and received multiple pages of information on the airport project and talked to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. And at the end of the day, they felt like it was necessary, as we all assumed early on, that the airport would need to move in order to accommodate what is the largest investment in the history of the state of Tennessee. So we certainly do that with great support for their project. So what we're asking for is that that land could be repurposed and go back into the mix for industrial use, and that we would then look at other locations for the airport, as we have stated we would do from the beginning.
All right, questions for Mr. Heeman? Ms. Smith?
Yeah, I have a couple concerns about some of the details in this. This is a complicated resolution with a lot of elements. And one of them has to do with the potential transfer of the property, that there's a notion that the property would be sold, which we believe should be the case for industrial development. But the provision is that, as I understand it, there's a reference to an ordinance section that relates to sales by auction or sealed bid of land. And further, there's an indication that if the property sells for more than what the city paid for it, there would be no further approval by council of the sale. It'd be presumed to be okay with council because we passed this resolution. Part of the concern that I have is that we don't necessarily want the land to go to the highest bidder if the highest bidder's purpose is not something consistent with the city's goals and with our comprehensive plan. And I think that I think it might be desirable to have negotiated sales rather than selling by sealed bid and so forth. But, so it seems to me that we need to look more carefully at the kinds of arrangements that are available for transferring the property so that it truly is available for what we want and not what somebody comes in with money and says they want to do with the land. We've certainly had history in the past of things being transferred that didn't work out the way we would have done it if we or the Industrial Development Board and so forth had been in the driver's seat. So I have concern about that part of the resolution. And I have other concerns, but that's the first one, and I'm interested to hear what staff has thought about in connection with the sale process, whether the IDB has a position also.
You want
Ms. Racker?
We have not formally talked to the IDB about that land because it is owned by the city of Oak Ridge. So there's not been any communication about transferring that land to the IDB. That would be something that city council would have to pass if you wanted it to transfer. So the resolution was just written to allow the city manager to market the property. That reference to the city code that's the city code section that says that properties that exceed $50,000 have to come to city council for approval. So we put that language in to indicate that city council was giving approval for the properties to be sold. But if you want to consider the other options for property transfers, we can take that language out and come back and we can discuss all those options at a work session.
Yeah, the line in the ordinance that was cited is one that specifically refers to sales by auction or or sealed bid. And there's at least one other provision that deals with negotiated property sales. And you know, we do want to sell this, and I'm not sure that we'd want to transfer it to the IDB necessarily if we can sell it at profit. But my concern was basically about the mechanism of the sale and whether the general arrangements for disposition of this property were designed to be consistent with the goals that we have. So I'd be happy to suggest that we defer that particular part, as you said, to a work session or something to address the means of transfer.
Do you want to, for that particular, be it further resolved, since the resolution does talk about disposition of the properties in general, do you want to just amend that section to just say the city manager is directed to schedule discussion of those specific properties at an upcoming work session? And just end it there.
Yeah, that works.
And then that way, we're addressing in this resolution all of the properties that the city has acquired for the airport.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's excellent.
Okay, because we purchased 3, and then one was donated, one was gifted by GSA.
Yeah.
And that one, we're going to have to do a deed restriction change.
Yeah, so there,
So that's a lengthier process. That's your last, your second to last, be it further resolved, that's the GSA property.
okay, yeah, that makes sense if we can, if we can change that.
Okay.
And do we need to amend this resolution potentially to make that change?
Yes.
And I guess I propose that we amend it using the language that the city attorney has proposed to.
It's moved and seconded.
Okay.
Just let me give Ms. Racker an opportunity here to.
Okay, so how about if we just say, be it further resolved that the city manager is directed to bring to an upcoming work session a discussion of the disposition of the following properties, and then list those 3 and end it there.
Okay,
Does that work?
Accept.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Yeah, that
we'll do
works.
that.
All right, all those in favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, so we are back on the resolution as amended. Ms. Smith? Then,
Yeah, the second item has to do with the directive to the city manager to explore other properties for the airport. And I've heard concerns about this, about we're going to spend a lot of money on investigating properties. But I don't see anything in this that authorizes an expenditure. We're basically just looking at other properties. Is that correct?
That is correct, and that is because that is an existing grant from the Appalachian Regional Commission, so there's funding from a grant source already in place to cover that. And we have spoken to them about the situation, and they are agreeable that funds could continue to be used to look at another site.
But wouldn't we have to authorize for example, the acquisition of a consultant to review, to do significant investigations?
If it became a significant investigation, yes.
Okay.
And those funds would be available through that Appalachian Regional Commission.
Okay.
So, until we decide that we have a site that really demands that, what we would do would just be a cursory look at potential locations, and we would come back with a contract for the consultant that would be paid for by the Appalachian Regional Commission grant, and that would come back to you.
Okay.
come back to Budget and Finance Committee first.
Well, yeah, but it would come to
Sure, I mean, it's
council.
a
That's-
budgeted item, but yes.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, but I wanted to clarify that.
Sure.
Because there was concern that we're going to go ahead and hire a consultant to do whole nother airport study.
Sure.
I don't think that's the case, because I think a lot of us are skeptical about whether there really is another airport site. So this is a preliminary exploration, not a deep dish investigation. So, thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Cole-Closure. Thank you. Okay. Beth, you need to, okay, thank you. Mr. Cole-Closure.
Doug Cole-Glazier, 103 Monticello Road, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Thanks for the chance to say a few words regarding this plans for the discontinuing the airport. The Metropolitan Knoxville Airport Authority spent $100,000 looking for a place, 3 years. The place they picked was not the best of many, it was the only. These are professional, experienced aviation infrastructure people. Rather than go looking further, investing time, I suggest that we reach out to McGee Tyson, Metropolitan Knoxville Airport folks. They gave us excellent service for aviation needs now. Work with them to even improve on that. Jim Evans, the Vice President of Marketing at McGee Tyson, will be speaking at ETEC this Friday. And it's a good chance to approach him. And he knows this story from the get-go. He was a senior staff member at the Metropolitan Knoxville Airport Authority throughout the 11 years that they sponsored the project. So work with them. The Metropolitan Knoxville Airport, the McGee Tyson is 20 minutes from our East End businesses and companies. We have another modern airport that serves the West End town at Rockwood. It just recently, the city recently leased that airport to a private partnership as of July 1. That airport's 16 miles from Heritage Center, 23 minutes by truck. That's where all of our major industrial is growing. We should work with Scott Braun. He's the general manager of the Rockwood Aviation LLC that just took over. They've got serious aviation professionals on their board. A guy named Mike Laughlin, who's an aerobatics champion across the U.S., flies in air shows. He's one of the members. Another member is Todd Simmons. He's vice president of Cirrus's aviation distribution center here at McGee. They delivered 690 airplanes through that center right there at McGee Tyson in 2022. Todd Todd kept his personal plane at Rockwood for a number of years. I was there one day when he flew in one of their new Cirrus business jets. These individuals are very committed to making Rockwood even better, modern. I sent you a sheet of pictures of Rockwood. I don't know if you've seen them before the meeting. Anyway, thanks for the opportunity to make these points.
Thank you, Mr. Colclasure. Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, I'd like to respond to Mr. Colclasure's comments there. The original sponsor of this airport was the Metropolitan Knoxville Airport Authority, and that's because they're looking for more space for general aviation, and the intent, and I know this because I went through the airport, the training session over there on Thursday night for like 4 Thursdays in a row where you tour all around. And the idea was to be able to bring in more carriers at McGee Tyson by creating more space for commercial carriers like Southwest. Southwest doesn't fly into Tyson anymore. And by getting general aviation pilots out, and right now downtown Island Airport is full. They got a big line trying to get hangars, and Rockwood Airport's been there the whole time this has been going on. So the need for more general aviation space is still there. And so I tend to agree with you, Doug. We do need to talk to the guy at ETEC and see what their current status is.
All right, other comments or questions? Mr. Colclasure, you've already had your 3 minutes. All right, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board. As amended. Ayes 7, no nays. Next resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing the city to apply for and accept, if awarded, grants from the Oak Ridge Reservation Natural Resource Damages Restoration Grant Program administered by the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation in an amount up to $10 million with a 20% match required.
Move for approval.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Pesmeyer.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So we had a work session on this last week, and we also presented this to Budget and Finance Committee last week as well. So won't go into too much detail about this, but essentially this is the Natural Resources Damages Grant Program, and we have identified a couple of projects that we think will score very well in the matrix, as well as hopefully be supported by the trustees. So we're going to end up making probably 2 grant applications separate. They're both in the amount of around $4 to $4.5 million. That is for Solway Park and for AK Bissell Park as the 2 projects that we've identified for this round. We've kind of asked for a little bit of a round number and relative to this just because of the timing. The next council meeting isn't until February 10th, but the grant applications are due on February 6th. So this is our last opportunity really to kind of get the approval that we need. So as mentioned, there is a 20% match. We're asking for that to be covered, at least at this point in time, by unallocated ending fund balance. However, we will be actively and aggressively pursuing other grant opportunities and other contributions to make that grant match amount over the next couple years, because we still have time in order to collect those funds before the grant is actually expended. So this will allow us to move forward and make applications by February 6th. Those are pre-proposals. If we are awarded those grants, then we will enter into a formal grant application process with TDEC and hope to move these projects forward.
Questions for Ms. Pesmeyer? As he said, this has been presented to Budget and Finance. So seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board. Ayes 7, no nays, and the resolution is approved. Thank you, sir. Next resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution adopting the City of Oak Ridge, Tennessee 2025 state legislative agenda to inform state officials of key projects, policies, and priorities in the City of Oak Ridge, and to help secure funding for agreed-upon priorities of the community.
Move for approval.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Fitzgerald.
Yes, sir, Mayor and members of council. Before you is the 2025 state legislative agenda recommended for approval, and we have discussed the issues, again, the November work session, and then last week we went through each of the items in greater detail at the work session. I wanted to point out on item 8, I believe I mentioned this to you in an email, found out last week that the legislation that was introduced last year by the Comptroller's Office that would require more frequent reappraisals was not intended to be reintroduced this year. However, there is a section of the code that allows for counties to develop a plan to go before the State Board of Equalization to get a plan approved to allow more frequent reappraisals. So in talking to our Anderson County, and I've got a conversation with our Roane County assessor, I think there is interest among between our county assessors to look into this plan. And actually, at the December meeting of the Blount County Commission, their commission adopted a plan that was developed by the Blount County property assessor to do a 3-year reappraisal cycle. So there's an avenue if this is something of interest, which it sounds like it is. This year is our normal, our regularly scheduled reappraisal cycle, so I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out to you. I've modified the language in here to state that we recommend, support for looking into the development of such plan, and if that moves forward, but to make sure that we stay on the same schedule between, for Roane and Anderson to be on the same schedule, so we can work on a regular schedule with the Department of Energy in doing the payment in lieu of tax program.
All right, any questions from Ms. Fitzgerald? Seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board. Ayes 7, no nays. The resolution is approved, and you'll work on the language, and you can just update us if you change it.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
A resolution approving the economic impact plan for the Orano Project Development Area.
Move to approve. Moved and second. Mr. Heeman.
Yes, we have Mr. Mamontoff here to talk about this item.
Mr. Mamontoff.
You can sit here.
Mike. There you go.
There you go.
For those of you who may not know, Mr. Mamontoff has represented the city of Oak Ridge for many years.
1988.
He is one of the leading municipal finance attorneys and bond counsel in the state of Tennessee. And Mr. Mamontoff, thank you for being here.
Oh, that's really nice. Thank you. And I was at Roane County Commission tonight, and so I get 2 meetings in one night. I'm a lucky guy. So luckily they weren't having elections, so I was able to come and go. And
you were forewarned.
Yes, thanks. I asked to be on the end of the agenda. Yes, you were very gracious. So it went very smoothly. They approved the same plan tonight unanimously. The steps in doing a tax increment incentive versus a pilot. With a pilot, you delegate to the IDB the authority to basically negotiate tax abatement. With the tax increment, and I'm not using the term financing, people hear the term TIF. There is no financing here. We're basically doing a backdoor tax abatement because of the nuclear aspect of this, that they could not title the property in your industrial development board. So basically, as the taxes come in, I know you all, just as a fresh refresher, basically we're rebating 50% of their taxes over a 40-year period, which has been approved by the state comptroller, and it's been approved by the Commissioner of Economic and Community Development. So you all approved a term sheet a while back, and they've been fine-tuning the site. Originally, I think it was over 900 acres, and after excluding the training center property and some of the old-growth forest area, it's down to like 770 acres now. And so now that they were able to do that, we were able to move forward with the plan. The plan essentially is one step in implementing the term sheet that said, once this is approved, then we can move forward to negotiating a more detailed development agreement. But basically, you're all saying, yes, we're still interested in this incentive for this company. And I know that Orana would really like to see us take this step so that they sort of are checking their boxes to know that we're doing the things that we said we did. So we had a public hearing at the Industrial Development Board. Mayor Gooch was there. Our sole speaker was Doug, so he could tell you what he said if you want to, but he was not against it. He provided some very interesting information and history on the site. It's a very cool site. And I think it, as Doug said at that time, I think this is going to be their at least initial phase is a sort of very campus type thing in the southern part of the property. So as you can see somewhat on the map that's attached to the plan. So the action we're asking you to take tonight is a resolution that's required by state law to approve the plan so that then we can keep moving forward with this project.
Questions for Mr. Bamintoff? All right, seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board. Ayes 7, no nays, and
Thank you very much.
thank you. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Next item of business is appearance of citizens.
Yes, and citizens shall be permitted to address council tonight about matters that have not been on the formal agenda. Any citizen wishing to do so shall raise your hand, proceed to the public lectern, and after recognition, state your name and address and the purpose of your appearance before council. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes and shall relate to matters of city business. They shall not generally result in a formal response or action at the time of the presentation because in most cases, neither the council nor staff will be prepared to respond effectively. However, I may answer the question or direct the city manager to do so or request the city manager to work with the citizen to effect resolution of the matter. Statements that are purely political in nature are not allowed, such as campaign speeches or announcements of candidacy for office, nor will announcements of a civic or social event that is unrelated to city business. Are there any citizens wishing to address council? Ms. Watt.
Thank you. Katie Watt, President of Explore Oak Ridge, 1400 Oak Ridge Turnpike. I just want to publicly thank the city and the city employees, especially our fire department, our police department, our public works department, and Parks and Recreation, along with council and the city manager, for your support of Explore Oak Ridge. If it were not for all those departments working together with us, we would not be able to have the events we have the races we have the festivals that we have, our rowing, anything that we've asked for, the city has just gladly helped us with, and I just wanted to publicly thank all those departments, and especially mayor and council.
Thank you. And thank you for your work and your board. Anyone else wishing to address council? Ms. Cole-Clasher.
Cole Glazier, 103 Monticello Road, Oak Ridge. The Planning Commission will soon look at an ordinance, will soon look at a zoning ordinance change at the powerhouse area, and rezoning that area for industrial use. There's 60 acres of that parcel that's our most beautiful wildlife habitat in the entire city. Over 192 species of birds have been identified and logged in an electronic database that you can look at on the web. A friend just sent me a picture of a red-tailed hawk capturing a duck this afternoon in that wildlife area. To rezone that for industrial, it seems like misguided, especially if you look at the blueprint. The blueprint specifically calls out guarding against industrial encroachment in some of our natural assets of our community. So if there's anything the city staff or the planning commission or the council can do to help us get that zoned as a natural area, that I've had interaction with the property owners, and I've gotten feedback that leads me to believe they're willing to work with the city to get that protected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coclaser.
Can I make a comment on what he just said?
Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Well, before we do that, no other speakers? Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, I'd like to support 100% what Mr. Coclaser is saying. It came to the Planning Commission work session last Thursday, and I've been to the areas where there's beaver ponds, and it's an incredibly good bird watching place. And what the Carbon Rivers is asking for is industrial one all the way down to the water, right clear down to the point where the water touches the bank, and includes the area that Doug's talking about. And so I think that I personally would like to ask council to take a look at this strongly, because unfortunately I'm going to miss the Planning Commission meeting next Thursday when we're going to vote on it, or this Thursday. So just be aware, it's going to come to us eventually. And can I add one more thing?
You had the floor.
Second subject. I was delinquent in leaving out somebody when we talked about the submarine sale, and I want to thank our historian, Ray Smith. I want to thank Gordon Fee, and I want to thank some executives at Y-12, including Dave Beck and Jerry Lowe, who have been involved in this now for several months. And now the submarine sale looks like it might be a reality one of these days. So thank you, sir, for your participation.
And just to affirm, the company that is asking to rezone that property is the great corporate citizen, Carbon Rivers.
Correct.
I hope everybody feels the cold breeze in the room. There any other questions or comments for council? All right, next item of business, announcements and scheduling. Council requests for new business items or future briefings, and we've had a couple mentioned tonight in terms of updates. Any others? All right, Mr. Heeman, you're up on the city manager's report.
This will be brief. Want to start by thanking Jason Griffith for this great temporary location that we put together, and remind everybody what we have to look forward to, hopefully before June, but no later than June. Okay. I did want to report that staff's been in touch with TDOT about the pavement project on Illinois Avenue. TDOT informed the contractor on multiple occasions about aligning the grinding operations and the paving process. You'll note that we've still got some unpaved areas out there, and they are aware of our issues with that, and we've got uneven pavement. Unfortunately, that cannot be resolved right now due to the temperatures and the consistency needing to be at 55 degrees for that paving. I will say that we've also talked about the markings, temporary markings, and the placing of those. If the contractor does not perform the work as required for those temporary markings to bring those up to par, TDOT has told us they will use their crews to complete that work. So I just wanted you to know that staff is really on this. We've heard from you, we've heard from citizens, and we're doing all that we can to work with TDOT to get that rectified. At a recent meeting, you requested that the Zen City Community Survey be placed online. I wanted to say it's on our website under City News. It's the number 2 item, and it's also there permanently under the Residents tab on the homepage, so that is up and posted at this point. Cannot say enough about snow removal. Our folks had a good plan. We had everything brined by 7 o'clock the night before. Did a fantastic job plowing, so I just want to give a shout out to our team for the planning execution of the plan. Also want to point out we used a new inclement weather policy plan that was developed by the fire department this year, and it worked very well also. Okay. Finally, just a couple of promoted employees there. You can see Gene Wilson, Utilities Operations and Maintenance Manager, and also Matthew Lloyd, Treatment Plant Apprentice 2, were promoted. And that's all I had tonight.
Mr. Hope?
Yeah, just real quick about the Illinois Avenue. The non-existence of temporary markings that are existing right now, the non-existence of those temporary markings, the chalk lines that they put on before they stopped the project are long since gone. They've been washed away, salted away. There's no spot at Illinois Avenue and the Turnpike where you know where to stop. We need to stripe up there. We have people that are in the middle of the intersection before they're bowed up in both directions. It's just a matter of, it's not a matter of when, it's a matter of if, when it happens. I said that backwards. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it's going to happen. They're just not there. So whatever the contractor did, it's gone. And so we need to have something put down. I mean, there's no reflective material at all. So at night, whatever little bit of temporary markings that were there are gone. You can't see them at all, but at least do that. I still don't like the idea that we have to wait till spring on getting the project done, but at least put the markings on the pavement to where we can have some sense of what's going on, and you have organizations at the red lights.
I have witnessed that and understand completely.
Mr. Dodson?
I'd like to echo Councilman Hope's request. I totally understand because I know some people in the paving business, and we can't do any work until it's over 55 degrees for a significant amount of time. That might happen sometime in May. So looking forward to getting that done, but in the meantime, ASAP for safety's sake, I think we should get those streets striped if at all possible. Thank you.
Mr. Hammond?
Yeah, just echoing the exact same thing. That's a safety issue, I think, at this point, and whatever we can do needs to be done, as has been echoed ASAP. I think the other thing that's happening, at least conversations that's starting to come my way, is cars are being damaged. I'm getting several people who are starting to say, what happens if I'm hitting this, and I've been hitting this same spot? I know me going back and forth to the church, I've kind of trying to figure out how to navigate those spots. But I think those questions are coming up, and I do appreciate you for giving me the contact information for the state, for people who do have concerns. I've communicated that, when it's been appropriate, but I do think that there's some room for us to communicate that at a more broadly space, that, hey, if you've got these issues, here is the contact information, because people, when they're on those roads, we know that's the state, but citizens don't know that's the state. And so I've got several people who thought it was our crew, not necessarily doing the work. And so some effort to communicate, hey, here's what's going on there, and if you have a concern or if you've been adversely impacted, this is the number to call with regards to the state. Doing that, I think, on top of striping or painting or whatever we call it, to make it safe in those spaces, is, I think, the least we can do. We may not be able to do everything that needs to be done, but when you can't do that, at least my approach is to do the best I can and do the most that I can, and then people can at least see that we're trying and we're doing what we can do.
Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, along the same lines, just a direct question is, can the city put down the lines at least for the stop bars, and some of the lines where it's, I drove here tonight and you can't hardly see the lines at night.
TDOT has agreed to do that. If the contractor doesn't do it, we'll reach out and find out what that time is. And to answer your question, it's a state road, but I feel assured that we could go down there and do that. If somebody doesn't do it, we will certainly do it.
Well, if Reverend Hammond's people are all calling the state, they might be looking for a carrot out of hell here and pay the city to do some of it, you know.
Ms. Smith?
Yeah, I've appreciated reports I've gotten from staff on how you're doing and negotiating with TDOT and so forth on this, and it's unfortunate that the weather has done what it's done, because that's going to delay any kind of work that anybody does on striping. We can't go out when there's snow on the street to repair the striping, but, so I do hope that people are going to be extremely cautious on that street. I've been telling people to avoid driving on Illinois Avenue at night. Just, it's, if you can find a way around, don't do it. So that's, appreciate your work on this.
Just one more issue, and I hate to beat a dead horse, but I'm just gonna have to. Where it's been cut, and they've grind the pavement back to if they'd have finished the job, it will start to affect the substrate of the road. Rutgers Avenue is already starting to develop a pothole. You turn off Illinois Avenue onto Rutgers, and you're going through two different distinct potholes. It is already down through whatever their pavement's left, and it's going to affect the substrate, which is ultimately going to come back to us because that's Rutgers Avenue, not Illinois. And so this is going to cost us money if we don't stay on top of this.
Yep, and that's where I was going. Are we looking at, and I sort of want to credit Councilwoman Smith for kind of sowing this thought when she asked the question about, trash and cigarette butts and things that are being thrown in there. It's at a point now where I don't reckon they can just come and just pave right over it. There has to be some work done are they, how are the conversations coming to what damage may have been done to the streets, or what kind of back work or cleanup work may need to be done by the time they get out here, so that they don't come out and then act like, they're picking up where they left off at. How is that going, or what's your understanding of what kind of damage is being done and what that may be by the time they get out here?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I can address that specifically, other than to say they'll have to address that when they actually get closer to the paving, and they will. They'll go out and take a look at the subgrade, what's happened to the road. They are charging the contractor liquidated damages, but that's a little solace to anyone. But they will, TDOT will go out, and they have inspectors that specifically look at that. It's too early to say, because it's going to be a while before they actually get to that point, but any damage that is done to the subgrade or to the pavement will be evaluated, and then they will recommend repair to that before they actually put pavement down.
Okay.
Other questions or comments about Illinois? All right, Ms. Riker, do you have any report tonight? Okay. Again, I want to convey our thanks to city staff and our employees during the snow. I've had multiple comments from citizens saying thank you, and it was greatly appreciated, and and well done. And the last thing I'd say is there's really good news, folks. I mean, there's 500 pages of materials in here that were submitted by our citizens wishing to be appointed or seeking to be appointed to positions. And I would just say to the folks that were not successful tonight that there will be other elections, and we certainly want to do everything we can to continue to promote participation at whatever level a person feels comfortable with doing. So with that, are there any other comments by?
Just the clerk's office did a Herculean effort to put all this together.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've gone several years and not had that many. I mean, at different elections. So again, that's good news, not,
Something's getting the word out.
Yeah.
Would like to point out, you had some candidates that came through our Citizens Academy, which our clerk and assistant clerk worked on, which engaged some new people, which was helpful.
At least three candidates.
All right, having completed our business, we are adjourned, and thank everyone for your attendance and participation tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.